First, I will introduce the overall architecture of the web services. So the first thing is to import some necessary packages, including base64, JSON, Flask, JSON file request. Next, I will create the upload folder to store the pictures that submitted from the client. So all the pictures submitted from the client were stored in the uploads. Next, I create a route so that it will test whether the service is able to use. There's another API that to meet the function so that it can use to post the function from the client side, and with the return with the object detection function to decode the JSON file format. So we have objects list and with the object dictionary, including labels, accuracy, rectangle, and in rectangle we have height, left, top, width, which meet the requirements of the assignment. Finally, we will return the objects, and these objects can be used in the object detection function so that it can have the ID, which is the objective ID, and with the list hand, so that the user can see the JSON file format with the different type of detection. So next I will introduce the Dockerfile. In the Dockerfile we have the Python version 3.8.10 Slim Buster, and we will create a directory with in the assignment 1. We also copy the requirements.txt to the requirements.txt, and we also will add this file to this folder and create another folder uploads to this folder. And we also use the YOLO tiny configures, which will be used as a way to detect the image. And we also will run the Python 3 OpenCV, and finally we will install the requirements. Also, additionally, we will also necessary to expose the 80 port under the TCP, and we will finally run the object detection .py file to run the services. So I will use docker build So use this command to build a Docker, and we can see the Docker version. It is used 20.10.24, and for the Kubernetes, I use the v1.26.4 version to finish this assignment. So I also use the Kubernetes service. It is a basic networking component in Kubernetes that allows a set of pods to be exposed as a single network service with a stable IP address and the DNS name. So for different nodes, I create one master and two worker nodes. The first master node will be used at the control panel, and each of the virtual machine have the internal IP address, which will be used to implement in the next steps. So for the deployment file, the SPC section of the manifest describes the desired state of the deployment, and it will have the requesting the needed replicant of the port, and we can change that to set the different port to do the experiment. And the select field will be used to select the ports that deployment is responsible for managing, and the template, and this is app name. Under the container we have name, clouded ID, and this is image, so we can use this image to contain the Docker, and the image pool policy is never, and so because of the memory issue, I changed the memory to 2G, and the container port is 80. Here is the service file. So the specific section of the manifest describes the desired state of service, and the service of type node port, which means it exposes the service on a static port on each node in Kubernetes cluster, and this service will listen to the 31,000 port and forward the traffic to port 80 with the label of app clouded, and which specified in the selector field. Overall, the manifest is defining a service that exports to a group of ports with app clouded label on port 18 and make it available in the Kubernetes cluster via the static node port 31,000. So I will run the docker build.t and with the image name. So finally the Docker image was listed here. So here's my virtual machine in the Oracle cloud, and so here is the security group I created. So there are these are necessary reports, including 6443, 2379, 2380, 10250, 10257, 10259, and also TCP 3000 to 3260, and we also need to open the port with the 6783 with both TCP and UDP, and for another UDP will be used to 6784. We also open the all port to TCP and all port to UDP. It's also necessary to use the ICMP so that it can ping from the private IP address. Because we also add the node port with 31000, we also need to open the TCP with this port.